going to evaluate a team that has person in the team that his or her goal is they're happy, is they don't want to put more time, they have other issues. And I respect that because, all of us have some reason for this. There is nothing wrong with that. It's priority. It's your decision is priority. But how is it going to affect somebody that is really interested in the topic? It's not just a grade. They're just interested in that topic, that class. They want to really learn. How do you do that? So I've posed a lot of questions to you tonight. So hopefully, when you come back, when you're on your research assignment, group research assignment, I'm looking at it to see at least some thoughts about what can we do, good or bad, because it's hard to compensate the team members deeply. It's very hard. It says failure, yeah, but how do you do it? What makes teams succeed? You want to make sure things are appropriate for the company nature. Of course, they do, but that not necessarily makes it a successful team. You have to support, this of course, you have to support that training. One thing, it's good that you involve team members in their own performance evaluation and will be measured. But most of us, again, I've done this, you give what we intend. We always intend to grade ourselves. I used to do this in class. I said, self-evaluation. I yet to see somebody that write on evaluation about themselves anything less than A. And I'm going to give it to you too. I'm going to give you a peer evaluation, but you're going to do it for your team. I'm going to ask you to evaluate yourself honestly. I like to see, I'm very rarely I see somebody come and say, I really didn't. I really don't deserve, this is what I did. Most of us, we just want to relish our, okay, yeah, I worked. We talked about communication. Most managers spend most of 80% of their time some sort of communication. And problem at work, of course, part of it, a lot of it comes from poor communication. And we talked about some of this stuff in the past. One thing is, one big thing, as I said, about communication, not only selective listening, is all these other things, that we do at work communication, that projects are not done besides this. What is it? Something else that, besides some of these things. Ambiguity, of course, is very important. What is something else that always causes us? Talk about this thing. Usually they say late at night, classes, after effective time of communications, effective time of things. Yeah. So you notice in the beginning, I think, how long have you been? Anybody timed us? How long have you been? Close an hour. See, normally communication, anything learning process. That's what I've always had a problem with long lectures or anything like that. After the first half an hour, you're sitting, your mind is there. As it goes, it just, so part of the communication problem is that time. Sometimes you spend too much time and, you can't expect the mind to function. So, and not understanding, and not, sometimes you look at it one way and the other person look at it another way. So it's not just selective listening. It's selective also understanding. That you understand one way and the other person is conveying the message. Talk about effective. You want to make your message, clarify your message face to face, match your message to audience, but mainly it's just, and again, they say this thing, but it's not really working. And why is that? Why communication breaks down in classes? Why communication breaks down at work? Because what is one big barrier? Why is it they say communicate effectively by these methods, but in real life, why is it not really working? Because if it was working, we wouldn't have issues. Because they say most of the problem is from communication. They say communicate effectively. Don't you think people are trying to do this? Don't you think people know this? But how come we have still got vast real problems at work or classes in communication? Especially between, not just between somebody that is authority in life, your children and you. We all have played different roles in our lives. We all have some sort of authority over someone else. How come, the biggest issue with this thing is not working? How many of you had the courage that go and tell a faculty really, what you really think about them? I mean, how many times you really can go and say, hey, you're really awful. I really care. If I could. What is in your really mind? If you could read people's mind, it wouldn't be as nice. Because I'm sure like tonight we're sitting here and say, Kiara Vish, it's just like, he's full of himself, he's this, he's that. Each one of you could have something in your mind. But you won't express that. I have many times I have things that I would like to say. I'm not saying boss here, other bosses here. I have work that you won't. Sometimes I have said and I walked away.
The system's not working.
System, the thing is that you always you're afraid of consequences. You're afraid of consequences, and you think the other person, because if you criticize them because they are in position of affecting you either. As faculty, your grade is going to be affected because you think, okay, if this is what I'm going to do, my grade is going to be affected. And as a manager, if you go to your manager, so you think you're going to lose your job, or your performance evaluation. Again, I'm hoping, who's doing communication? I'm hoping you come up and say, okay, finding some ways for us to break that barriers.
Don't they have 360 evaluations?
They have 360 evaluation. That's still not
effective.
Not mainly because it comes, I think we have to change the culture of human being. We have to change ourselves. All these things start from yourself. You have to change, and as I said, leaders, you cannot be an effective leader if you're not willing to be fair. And I'll try to be over there. I had a student class, wrote on discussion board, argued with me. Personally, I don't affect grade of people that argue with me. Just to come and I had a student class because my evaluation, I try to be at least interested. It got to do, and I've always respected somebody else's mind. I work with people in this organization, and they were mad a couple of times. They're really mad, and I just that moment, I was saying, God, you don't need to be here. Because I learned this thing over the years. I changed myself over the years. That you have to, and I learned this thing from classes. When you do, you gradually change your personality, gradually change. And that was, as I said, effective for me over the years. That classes, sometimes I got more out of it than even a student because it was a true learning process. Of course, you have to tell feedback. Just tell the truth, but can you honestly tell the truth? Don't be afraid to tell it for business, performance, and the force. They say these are tools for effective communication, but hardly this works. And motivating, we talked about this, empowerment. You have to, as I said, motivation, you cannot motivate others if you do not motivate yourself first. If you're not motivated, and you don't have to just force yourself to be motivated. Some leaders are not just motivated, and they can expect others to be motivated, and that doesn't work. Empowerment, of course, you want to empower people that work for you. Reward and compensation, they always talk about giving money or using some sort of a system, but I think the most effective one is if you really feel, that you are appreciated. If you really feel that that somebody